everyone, welcome to the Daily Signal. I'm here with Mercedes Schlapp. She is in the White House. She is Assistant to the President and Senior Advisor for Strategic Communications. Mercedes, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start, it's been 500 days with the Trump administration. To you, what are the biggest successes so far?
Well, 520 days, but who's counting? No, it really, the president has been one of the most consequential presidents that we've seen in our lifetime. You just look at his economic success story, just the mere fact that we have gone from what President Obama and actually presidential candidate Hillary Clinton used to say, which is, the new normal is the 1%. We're not going to be able to grow much more than that, to all of a sudden, President Trump, where you're seeing the gross domestic product at over 3% in 2 consecutive quarters. We're expecting almost a 4% growth coming up as well. I mean, that is significant. You're talking over 3 million jobs that have been created. And the mere fact that you're seeing wages increases, investments coming back to American communities, it is truly a success story. And that comes because not only did we have a successful tax cut and tax reform law that's been implemented and put into place, but also it's because of the deregulation, the fact that you're being able to get rid of so many regulations in the government, which were really a stranglehold for so many small businesses and corporations trying to create jobs. And just even repealing the individual mandate, President Obama's individual mandate, is a big help for small businesses to be able to hire more people.
There have truly been some incredible successes that you guys have had. What is next on the horizon?
Well, in addition to the economic success story, we also have a foreign policy success story. It is because of the president that we have restored leadership, American leadership on the world stage. It is because of the president that we have a new era of diplomacy. What we saw happen in Singapore this past week with the historic summit, that is something that for decades presidents have been unable to solve. They've been unable to figure out how to deal with Kim Jong-un. And President Trump said, look, when he came into office, he conducted a comprehensive review to look at the North Korean policy. Following that, they put a maximum pressure campaign, basically forcing Chairman Kim to come to the table. And the way the president sees it, and speaking to the president about this, he's made it very clear. It is really about ensuring that we can reduce the threat of nuclear war. It is about denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. If and when we are able to successfully move in that direction, which we know the president just did in this important summit, then we know we'll have not only a safer region, but a safer world because of what the president has done.
Absolutely. What has it been like for you working in the Trump administration, especially as a woman, and what is he like behind the scenes?
Well, first of all, President Trump, I absolutely love working for President Trump. This is my second tour in the White House. I worked for President George W. Bush back in the day as a young woman, an even younger woman, I should say, and worked also in the media affairs department. But now with President Trump, being able to see him work firsthand, he's a driver. He's results oriented. He wants the team to take it to the next level. He doesn't want you to think just inside the box. He wants you to think creatively. He wants to solve problems. And he's passionate about it. He is passionate about helping the American men and women, the forgotten men and women. He's like, what are we doing to help our farmers? What are we doing to help our young people? I mean, it is something that he focuses on every day, expects his policy people to do the same, and he wants his communicators also to go out there and talk about his message and talk about the successes that he's having, which, as we know, it's being so scrutinized and so misrepresented in mainstream media. And quite frankly, we're going to keep telling our story, and it's going to get straight to the American people.
Now, the media coverage has not always been favorable. President Trump talks a lot about fake news. What do you make of the coverage of the First Lady, of Ivanka, of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, of yourself, when it can be so brutal and fake and aggressive?
Yes, I mean, the one thing President Trump teaches you to do is fight and never give up. And I think that's a great message even for young people. It's when you have things that you stand for, your values, your beliefs, when you know your policies are right, your facts are right, what do? You don't sit back, you fight, you tell your story, you stand up. And you know what? Yes, the fake news is going to try to tear you down and personally try to tear you down. And even to a certain degree, just completely try to make you focus on these attacks on people that I care about personally, Sarah Sanders, Ivanka, I mean, the First Lady. But we're not going to stay quiet. We're going to keep talking about the president's successes. We're going to keep talking about his policies that are truly making an impact in America. And that's why the key is never to give up. And that's the one thing about President Trump. He's been in the White House for over 500 days. What we're seeing is unprecedented. It's historic, and it's just the beginning.
And on that note, how do we hold the media accountable?
Well, I think like through the Daily Signal is a perfect example of where Americans can get their news. Americans have options nowadays. It's not just 3 networks as it was back in the day. We have so many different platforms that Americans can get their news. Obviously, President Trump has been a masterful communicator. He has used Twitter in a way that now we call it a way to get his message out, and almost like a press release.
Yes.
Every single day. Americans know what the president thinks. He wants to be direct and transparent, and he's going to bypass the media to do that. And while the media focuses on the silly palace intrigue stories or things that don't matter, they are so out of touch where Americans are. What Americans want to be talking about is how much money I'm going to have in my pocket, how am I going to make sure my kids, get the right education that they need, how are we going to lower drug prices, what are we going to do to get people back to work? And they care about their communities. And you know what? They want to practice their faith freely with no one telling them, you can't say this or do this. And that's what President Trump is fighting for, and it's why he's winning.
Now, right now, we are at a Young Women's Summit. So my last question for you, what advice would you give to young conservatives, but specifically young women who want to pursue a career in politics or media?
Well, as you know, Matt and I have 5 daughters. I've brought my oldest daughter, Viana, who was like, we are going to the Turning Point a conference this week. And it's really such an honor to be here and be able to meet so many fabulous young conservative women. And, the advice I give, and I give this advice to my daughter, is speak up and have them listen to you. Don't back down. Lean in. Make sure your voice at the table is heard. Because what liberals want to do every single day is they want to shame conservatives. They want conservatives to say that their viewpoint doesn't matter. And guess what? Those women, they will never represent us. And we could be louder and stronger because we are winning on the facts. And we need to ensure that we save American culture and that we continue to push forward that America is the greatest country in the world.
Some wonderful advice from Mercedes Schlapp. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.